most thank you to all of you, because as for a tourist, I'm a tourist. Like the lady says, I'm a tourist, I'm visiting Joburg, but I feel I'm not really visiting Joburg. I'm meeting colleagues, meeting friends, and I hear about a lot of problems, but I also hear about a lot of solutions. And just to start from that, because all those technical matters will come, security will come. But
Yeah.
as for the feeling people have, do you really think a tourist is only interested in, let's say, old history? No. They're interested in your beautiful country, in your beautiful people. They are coming to the townships, but they are being told the old stories. And the new stories are there. I really feel the new story is the music that's being made on a Tuesday afternoon, evening, about 56 or 65 artists being there, and us crying together and laughing together and dancing together. Like, I hope we do every day when we are in this business together. And if you make a step from that, you can say, okay, there will be music anyway. Music will always survive. Like theater, most of the time will survive. But music will always be there because it's about heart, it's about musicians. If you don't have a horn, you create something with wood, tak, it's always there. And there's always music, it's always rhythm, it's always in our heart, it will be. If we know that, you can say there's no talk about education. It shouldn't be, it's only about the heart. I feel we must make some steps, because from the heart, when we talk about the people doing things, working, getting money, creating theaters, bringing a lighting to the right places. If there's 7 million people waiting for something, you should get rewards. But by doing it themselves, being facilitated by the government instead of being asking, things like that. If you're asking, you should be offering things too. We have something to offer, because if we look into what you're doing, you have something which is very special. And if we bring the youngsters to those places, and now here they're doing that, and if we want to bring it to more places, and we're doing it, what are we going to tell and show them? Are we talking about, we were hearing about syllabus 20 years ago. Maybe some English people said, this is the world you have to. Or some German people said, or some, and I know yesterday you said, everything should be invented in South Africa. Well, I don't feel like that, but I do feel that you must have the right idea about things you're being brought from somewhere, and bring it into your heart as your work, your way of going. But then again, if you want to think everything should be new, no. There's so many nice things like LED, which gradually become good enough. The light itself is still not 100% like the old stuff used to be, but if we reduce power, it's really nice, because otherwise in this venue it would be really difficult. So if we don't look into the new possibilities, new regulations which there are, and then we're not really improving on ourselves. And I feel it must be a combination of those people, of the things we can do, learn from what has been thought of by our grandparents and our parents, and those grandparents and parents from abroad that have thought already about creating an industry. And if then we look into it together and we feel good about it, and then we are the bosses of our own system, we are the bosses of our own heart. And the governmental people are still facilitating it, but they're not telling you this. And I know, yesterday we were talking about security, actually, yeah, you must do this and this. What I'm going to show you now is it's not about the law, it's not about saying someone who says you should do this, but it's about us in the industry talking about standards, talking about things you could say, could adopt, but you must think of why you should not adopt it. If there's a standard which is clever, if there's some thoughts which are more or less logic, if it's helping you in your work, if it's a new syllabus instead of the one that's 20 years old, because we are growing in our minds, growing in our experiences. Well, I got one of those standards. It's an example, because I feel any standard is an example. But if you don't read it, then you're stuck to the syllabus from 20 years ago. You're not going to grow. You will grow because you are learning, which means the theory and practice. And we were talking about practice. It's the most important. But if you don't find there's some theory somewhere, you're not going to be the one that can be in this business for your whole life. And that's maybe what I wish you to be, because it's great business. International code of practice, working. few of you do know and a few of you don't know what we are doing when we are talking about rigging. I would like to explain some of that, show something, and then show what has been written down. And you can read it yourself, because everything which is invented in a good way is a cheap, let's say, zero-based internet, and you can find it. And that's another thing about this world today. We talk about technology. I don't mind why 3D printing is just a clever solution for something. But I do mind about knowledge being available on the internet in English, which is a language most of us speak, and we use as international languages. And what I am showing, this ICOPER as it's called, is already translated in 5 or 6 other languages too. Because the Chinese want to learn, and you know about the Chinese, they want to learn because they are also interested in our business. And they will give you work, they will send you nice gear. If they know what we want, they can give us the right gear. And that's also what we talk about. If you create a standard, you talk about what you want from each other. And of course the first button will always be the testing. There we go, and it doesn't.
This is a check.
That is, well, this is just... You may push the button too, but now it's...
Help is coming.
The first slide I am going to show you is that the thing I'm showing you now is not what I invented. And there it is. It's people, other people doing the work. And that's, well, that's really very nice because they've been working a few years on that. And I try to understand what I see, and maybe I can because I've been into that climbing stuff and doing hanging things. And I sure got a good feeling about it, and that's why I want to show it. That code of practice, well, if I say it for short, it's ICOPER. ICOPER, it was funny. Yeah. International Code of Practice, Entertainment, that's all about us. Rigging, it's all about us, yeah. What are we doing? Because rigging is really something most people don't know what it is. You might hang the stuff, you use those trusses, so those aluminium stuff, you hang it somewhere, you put some lights on it or some speaker cabinets. These are standing, but when we are hanging it, we talk about rigging. And we make a structure out of rigging stuff, and you might call it rigging too. And when we hang something somewhere, well, we hope we can take it down ourselves. If it's falling down, it's not good. If it's hanging there, it stays there for the moment, stays there for the show, then it's good. Some logic in that, well, okay, there's some logic in that. It's equipment, and it should be installed, used, and removed. Yeah, there's people involved too. So I think there's always be a combination of people. This is people doing rigging work. This Dutch venue, we're up, you see the beams. This venue has been created for shows. So we got some beams where we can hang the stuff on. We got some steel cables, we got some people working there. You see some personal protection. It's a harness they're wearing. And together they will hang stuff. And sometimes it's big. This is a big theater setup. You see some of the fly bars, it's called. You might know it from theater, which is a pipe hanging, and it's hanging on steels. And it will drop down and go up when you like it to be. But you also see some trusses. That's on the left, the box trusses hanging. And you see some of those fly bars going down on those steels. So there's a lot of stuff that they are hanging there. Large venues, lots of stuff. But then again, also smaller ones. You see a lot of those trusses. The trusses we see there standing up, it's a modular system. You can create all kinds of things with it. And when it goes up, it looks like a circle maybe, or it looks, well, you can make anything with it. And basically any show today, any bigger show today, has some parts of rigging in it, has some parts of aluminium in it, sometimes has those hoists, those electric hoists, sometimes with the chain, you know, it was mentioned yesterday, and the other ones, we all spoke about that. You see the stuff hanging, and when the stuff hanging should be there, well, our audience, which is the most important, should be looking at it and say, hey, this looks great, this is my artist, this is my show, it looks great, it should, well, it feels okay. Do we always know if it's okay? That depends on how we look at it, because sometimes we use these same trusses you just saw on the venue in the top, being there for the lighting, are being used for structures sometimes. And this is a stage, you see the lifts which are being used to put it up. You also see the trusses. And sometimes you say, hey, this is good or not good. This is a nice one, because it's a stage that we created with the stuff we already have, because when I'm a lighting company, I have those trusses. And when I have those lifts and those trusses, maybe I can put a roof on a stage. And you see the staging, you see we create a kind of roof ourselves. And when we do that proper way, then we use it as partly, well, material we can build anything with. So our designs, our creative people can say, hey, I see this truss, I want to build a stage with that. But there will always be some risks, and the day before yesterday I was telling you, if you know you're going to use those trusses, if you know about the way they behave in certain circumstances, can I take that truss, put it up, just make a stage out of that? Can I create that as a stage? Is that logic? Someone will say, I don't know if you know the RTFM principle. Anyone of you knows the RTFM principle? Read the fucking manual. In our business we're really bad in the RTFM principle because we always say, yes, I know we can do it because I've done it before. Yes, I know I can do it because I think it can be done. Yes, I know we can do it because the boss says it can be done. But the biggest question to be asked is, do we know what we're building it with and what is the characteristics of it and what is the people building this stuff, from the fabrics, from the getting out of China, what do they say? And I'll tell you, most of the time they say nothing. Because when you buy Chinese stuff and they are not prepared for what you're going to do with it, you have to do a bit of the thinking yourselves. The RT event says, but you have to read it, you should not put this on your head because then your head gets broke and things like that. Don't put the plastic bag somewhere where it shouldn't belong. But they won't tell you all the time what you can do with it, because that knowledge is something you have to start with the manual, but then you have to start together with the designers what we're going to do with it. Because in the end we've got some users that want to stand safely, want to be the inspectors, want to be all kinds of users. If we don't have the knowledge, it's difficult to build the stuff. It's easy to show photographs of places where people were not that happy with the rigging. It's easy to blame them, but it's better to see what happened. And this is one from last week, and people are still investigating what happened. When you have a lot of material and you have a lot of people, you have really a lot of things to think about, and a lot of material that can break down. And this was an expensive breakdown because we're talking about dollars, 300K in dollars, maybe to 700K in dollars. You know these screens you're watching right now, that's the screen seen from the behind, but then it's a big one and it's dropped down. That's not nice, we don't like that. And we were fortunate that no people were hurt in this one. Sometimes people get hurt too. And I feel we should always be working together. And when anyone can be hurt, any show, we should be aware of risk and looking into it. What can we do about that? Okay, if we know about gear and people, what should we do? Accept it, because a lot of people say, hey guys, it happened. We can use it again, because it's, it's a bit sturdy, but two or three trusses we'll throw away, and other stuff we can use again. In my country, we really look into what has gone wrong. I feel that's logic. Maybe what can we do about it? And I also know some things are bigger. I'm big already myself, but when the wind is there, and when the rain is falling, and I know some things are bigger than me. Some people say it's an act of God. And well, people tell me, and that's the best thing to do, you can accept acts of God, but you better think about what can happen, because it's a risk. And if you know about the risk, please find a way to deal with that. If I know the wind is going to blow, then I do something with it. And when I go back to this stage we saw, you see the plastic, the thing behind, it's just blowing like that. Because that's a clever thing, because then the wind can go through. Otherwise, this one would not be standing. And you can see it's maybe sturdy enough for the moment, but when I see the wind is like this, I also see there's no artist on stage, because I say, hey, you guys, that's weight. So I'm taking control of the situation, because I'm aware there's wind. maybe the plastic will be released. We go, let's make some steps and say, guys, we must stay in control, and maybe this show is not going on. If the weather is going to be that bad, I have to make it better. We step down and we look into that. Looking into the code, it's about awareness and safety. Do you know what you're doing? Are you aware of safety? It's not about some guy wearing some, well, yellow or orange or something thing. He's responsible, safety is his thing, and if he is okay, I'm okay, and if he's not okay, I'm not okay. Now, safety is about us. We talk about logic things, we talk about which is good, which is not good, but it's not, most of the time it's not about good and not good. No, it's a dead situation, which is good or not good. Thinking people together, professionals or learning professionals together, how can we do things we do? But then we like to be there some guidelines to help us. Because if you want to be professional, can we look into something which says more or less checklist type? Can we learn from each other? And if you talk rubbish, can I tell you it's rubbish? Well, or shall we discuss what we talk about? Well, because why are you saying this to me? Let's see if there is a list. And that's what these guys were doing, trying to create a list which was logic. And logic because people came together, worked together. I don't know if you know the word consensus. Consensus means we sit together and we are going to fight together. Yes, oh, we like it. But in the end of the meeting, we'll have the same idea about things that we want to deal with. And of course, in Europe, we've always been fighting. You will know a little bit of history. The country next to us is German people, and German people, I don't know if Falco will be around, yes. German people always have another idea about safety because they can do that better. And then the English, English people are no better because they have been written it down 20 years ago and they're really sure that they know the truth. And when we talk about rigging, it's always fun because it's the German guys, English guys, some people come out of Australia, some people, and in the end, well, there's a little bit of fighting, but in the end we're talking the same language because we talk about safety for people working with it, people beneath it, there's working conditions which should be okay. Well, it's really strange if then you have a different opinion. And of course on details there will always be different things you can think about, but if we talk, not only talk about the details, but talk about the logic thing we want to do, and concise means we make the logic thing in a short way, and write it down. You should be okay with that, and these guys have done that, so there were some bruises, and they had a lot of meetings, but in the end, they are happy with it and they share their thoughts, and I feel it's okay. If you talk about chapters, you see, oh, this is now it's becoming a lot. But no, it's not a lot. We talked about yesterday. It's pre-event, it's event and after event. If you bear that in mind, there's a logic world because before we start thinking, we start drawing, we create a selection of equipment. Okay, that's the pre-event stuff. And then we go into the event and say, hey, what are we going to do? It's rigging work, it's lifting operations, there are some show things happening. And after the show, we take it out. And post-production means we think, did we do it in the right way? Where's the stuff now going and how are we going to do it the next time? And there's some logic in that. The only thing that was not logic is that we're still talking the pre-event, event. What are you talking about when you say it's rigging? When you talk about lifting, what is what? And that's why they said, hey, we make a glossary. And glossary is really nice because then you have a kind of definition. And most people are looking for definitions, and a lot of people hate them, but I love them. Because when we are talking about business, what is rigging? What is lifting? But what is lifting, operation, show rigging, de-rigging, post? You can read it because there's a glossary. That's helping you. And also that's concise, so it's always simple. It's not too big, it's not too much. I was carrying this one all day. And this is basically the whole standard. And it's not a double printed one, no, it's just a simple one. It's not good, but they should have double pages. 30 pages, and this is the whole standard. And you can read it, you can easily download it, and it's just simple as that. And other people can put it in your new syllabus and say, hey, we got some logic in that. Just some little text to see what you're going to read. It's an example, so you don't have to read it totally, but if you look into the idea about engineering, we say, hey, if we do something, which is a dynamic or static load, we will see what the limits are. Hey, some logic in that. And if you don't know it beforehand, we must look into it and start calculating and start thinking, and maybe I need a qualified engineer to do that. And qualified is about certification, and you can appoint those people yourself, and you can hire them too, but you should think that if it's not a standard situation, that someone should help you who knows. That's what it says, and then there's some little things, how we do it. If there's a lot of logic in that, and you can say, oh, there's that many, well. But if you read it, most people say, hey, this is kind of logic, because it's a standard situation, you do your work as you know, because you read the manual and you are being instructed and you know what to do. If it's not a standard situation, you know, you should ask, you should think, you should start calculating and do things like that. Some pages are bigger, of course. Like an idea, how are we going to work? You see, on-site work. How do we, when we work at height, how do we get at that height? Is there a step ladder where I can fall down? Do I just take my forklift, stand on the fork and... no guys, don't do that. Full protection system, we talked about the harness. How are we going to deal with the person working there? Because it's not only about the things we are doing, it's also about people doing it. So it's also about working conditions. It's about the employer being a good employer and the employee being a good employee. You see, the risk assessment of management. I was talking about risk before. If you don't look into the risk, you're stupid, because then things might happen. And not every person is all the time busy with risk, but most of you are almost all the time. Because if things happen, if you open the door and the door is closing and the door is closing too soon and you can't, no, you will push it and you will, it's a little bit of risk, because otherwise your finger gets between the door. Simple things like that. There must be a plan, risk management plan, to mitigate the risks. Yeah, because some people said, and I really know, it was mentioned yesterday, there should be no risk, but I feel there's always risks. But then we start reducing risks, take away any risk that can be taken away, but the other ones that are reduced are, for us, things to think of when we work. Because we can live with risks and when we know about them. But this is examples of the text. And if you know, are you going to work together? I don't know if you guys know the word toolbox. It means early in the morning. We were looking into a photograph 2 days ago about a group of people working together. And it's one project leader. And there's 1 or 2 people coming from the company. And all the guys and girls, they are there for the first time on that gig. They might be trained people from Sarah. They might be other people just being taken from the street. Because it's a team and it can be combined people from all kinds of backgrounds. But then we start working together and we say, hey guys, we're going to do a toolbox meeting, as it's called. Let's come together. You like some coffee, tea? That's a good start. Can I tell you what we're going to do? Because I will be the project leader of today. Can I tell you where we are, where the toilets are, if there are going to be breaks? But then we're going to do the work. This is the drawing, this is the design, that's the truck, this is what we're going to do. There are some hazards, I will tell you about that. There are some personal protection, because I got some helmets, I got this and that. And now the guys from the street are also wearing helmets. And like the Sarah people and the project leader, if we need to wear them. And in Toolbox meeting it will be addressed, that how we are working together, that we are working together, and that we like that in a certain way. And of course you can ask questions, because when the guy says, hi, I'm the project leader, he's the one or she's the one, the question can be asked during the day. And that's helping. So this is logic. You can say, wow, what are we going to do? We're going to work, how are we going to work, who's going to do what, and if there are any questions, yes, let them please be raised, and can I tell you about it. Emergency procedures means that, like we're doing now, if the exit is an exit, it should stay an exit. Things like that. It's a nice one because this is a 2-meter wide exit. Bernard is sitting in front of it, he will open both doors. And he only put 1 table and 2 computers in front of the emergency exit today. Well, that's a nice thing, because when we started the toolbox meeting at 8 o'clock this morning, I would have said, hey guys, how are the exits today? Why is the table in front of the emergency exit? And how does this exist already for 2 days? I'm always... Sorry, Bernard. I'd like to be a nice guy, but when I'm walking around and looking into security issues, I'm always the guy saying, hey, this is wrong. But I help you because I know how we can do better. And I will organize, in the toolbox meeting for instance, a way to tell you what we're going to do, and that I'm helping you to improve on security. But every day, in my day, your day, things like this are happening, and we improve on that every day by starting with toolbox meeting and be aware of safety as working procedure. Okay. I was talking about the glossary. And you can say, hey, this is nice. When we train people, when we talk about education, we're looking for competent persons. Competent, I don't know if you know the net, but is that trained? Is it instructed? You can really discuss what is competent. Competent means that you are aware of what you're doing, that you are able to do it, that you might be good enough to do it, and that the employer says, okay, this is for you, and you're going to do this because I know you're competent in that. A person who has the knowledge, experience and skill to carry out the task at hand. So simple. If you think about it, hey, that's some logic. But then I was telling you, it's a little bit of history and a little bit mean because the presentation says that this is the result. But if you look into how it was being discussed, that's always fun. You see the UK people, and you see the Pacific people, and you see there's a lot of people saying what a competent person should be. And what they did, they were talked about, well, the UK has a lot of text saying the same, and the Pacific had a lot of text more or less saying the same. And in the end, you see the agreed definition. So they tried to make it concise. They tried not to find the differences between the countries and the regions. They tried to find the same similarities. And if you feel this one is okay, then we can work from there. If you say still, well, you might say, I'm in the UK, so the only way to go is the way that's the UK. You can also take the other one. It's not a problem if you want to make it better, make some more out of it, but the standard now says, keep it simple, keep it stupid. That's also a nice principle, you know, the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. That's also nice. Basic principles in world, yeah. When they created this, they said, hey, guys, this is for you. And who is you? The world. And this was, well, maybe it's more now, because last December, I believe this was the list. This ICOPER document, maybe you might say it's rubbish, but a lot of people say, hey, I'm interested in it anyway, let me please download it myself and let me decide. And what happened that all these countries, basically from all over, were downloading it, including your country. Sounds logic, of course, but you just have to find out about these things, and that's why we are telling you about it. If you don't know about it yet, well, just try to download it. It must be possible in these worlds. And maybe you print it, otherwise you have it on your cell phone, and you read it or try to understand what is in it, because you can also check things when you want to check it. There's a lot of people saying, hey, I really don't like English. We accept that, of course. I spent some time in China. China is a great country, but in 3 weeks' time, I spoke 10 people being able to speak English with me. And all the other times we were just doing something. But nowadays, Dutch people, a lot of other people are doing shows in China too. And we are talking the same language because our standard is the same, and this standard has been translated into Romania, Chinese. So people might say, okay, I want to do it in Zulu, Xhosa, Swahili, but most of you really understand English very well, I feel. So anyone can make a translation, but it must authorize. So some people, which are real translators, will always do a little check on that we speak the same language. And if you got a document and it's being downloaded everywhere, you get organizations saying, okay, I like this. And if you see the ARC, which is it's like the Dutch is always about ARC, that's the one, that's the Dutch people saying that's a good one. But the nice thing is, if you look, hey, it's USIT, United States say this is a good one. And if I go to the right, it says South African Communication. Well, your own industry, a lot of people which are also looking into it and are represented here and are part of your business, say it's logic. Say it's something you can tell me there's some logic in it, because they say, hey, I'm endorsing it. So you can ask the question to your own company saying, we find this as logic. And if you don't feel it's logic, through those organizations you can say, hey, this is not logic anymore. Because of course there can be some new thoughts and new developments. And then these organizations will always be informed about it, like the whole world will be informed about it. So kind of logic. You can find it on the place that's Plaza. You can find it in many more places, of course, with these organizations too, but this is where the source itself was. We will give you this, send you this wherever, somewhere, but you can find it on the internet. If you look for ICOPER on the internet, and then, okay, you have to use that Google thing again, those bloody Americans. Most of you know how to do that. Then you can find this, and you can use it. And what do we use it for? Because still you can say, okay, I read this once. Yes, this is about my work, responses to the effect of, oh, weather. It says weather. I was talking about weather. If you know someone has to think about weather when you talk about rigging, when you talk about staging. Maybe you talk to the organizers, you talk to the local people that want to be involved in weather situations, which are a lot these days. And you say, hey, I got some knowledge. I got a tool, because it's written down here. I was telling my employees this morning how we're going to deal with the weather. And you are from the government, you are telling me what to do. No, I'm telling you what is our standard in these situations, and I'm prepared for that. And together with you, I work that out. So, and your client, the boss, the organizer, whatever, who doesn't know about our techniques, I can inform him that we are being informed in our industry about the way we work, that we can tell that to the government, and that together we are working that out. So when you have any standard, this is an example I said, any standard helps you to be aware of what you're doing yourself. How you can be a good employer, how you can be a good enough employee because you're being informed, and you can tell the government that's not them taking care of you, no, it's you as your own people taking care of you because you know. And you're competent in what you're doing because you're aware that knowing things means that you have to take steps and make that, and bring that to the people working. So it's an example of that knowledge reaching the users, and the users can be government, can be the one giving you the job, can be the employee itself. But we have to bring that knowledge to people, and standards like this, I feel, are a really nice way to work it out.